Okay, hi everyone. My name is Mohammed Hifeda. I'm a teaching associate professor in the Lane Department of Computer Science and Electrical Engineering um, in the Statler College at WVU. I'm going to be talking today briefly about AI in education. Okay, so if we wanted to briefly go over a definition of AI, you could think of it as a computer that has a bunch of human abilities. And the way it gets these abilities is by collecting a lot of data and noticing different patterns, and it has the ability to pretty much mimic a human being. Um, if I want to look a little bit closer to a more common term, which is generative AI, you could see here it's a subset of AI. So if you go to the hierarchy, you have AI generally, and then machine learning, which is basically the ability of the machine to learn patterns and look at data and start deducing, doing analytics over that data and learning from it. And then deep learning, which would basically literally one step deeper than that. And then finally, you have your generative AI, the ability of your machine to actually create new content that is not necessarily readily available. So if we wanted to look at three main key aspects of AI, it would be basically the tremendous amount of data that is available to the machine. That's one aspect. The other part is its ability to identify those patterns. So certain patterns that you might be interested in, or any patterns really that show up, it could analyze those patterns and start deducing some analytical results from those patterns. And then it also could make predictions, like the example that you see on the bottom there. Um, and then one thing that is everybody's day life, you could basically, anybody has seen this at some point, is how this is utilized in something like customer ratings or reviews. And basically, when you try to buy a product online, something that you can't really see or feel or touch, you're not physically in the store. You basically go off of reviews, and that's the same way AI operates. It looks for, if you give it a question, it'll start looking for whether this question has been asked over the internet before, and start looking for popular answers to that question, and start making predictions based on this prompt that you're asking it. It'll start looking for a answer, and maybe create a new answer that is very close to another answer that may exist. So essentially, it's creating some form of popular popularity there. So let's say we ask, what's the best restaurant in Morgantown? And so restaurant X pops up from 100 people. And that basically, those reviews is what you will use to give you an answer. Well, does that mean that everybody will have the same? Is this the right place for you? That's the real question, where we're going to start seeing it not always will give you what you're looking for. And so that's why we still need to develop an understanding of what is it that we're really looking for? Do we understand the system that we're designing? Do we understand what is it that we're looking for, essentially? And so some benefits, and again, this question has popped up in several discussions, but some of the questions that I see is, well, is this beneficial to education? And I would say absolutely yes, it can be very beneficial. And I don't think anybody here could beat a personalized 24/7 tutor. You can ask it questions, and it'll give you answers. Well, the question really becomes, are those the right answers? And that's really where the science we still need to know the science. We still need to understand the why behind everything that we're asking, or why is this answer correct, or why does it make sense? Well, what is the potential harm? Like any tool that we learn, any tool that we start using, we can go back all the way to calculators, when instructors were reluctant to adopt them, and then it's almost used in every school now. Calculators are pretty common, scientific calculators particularly. And so that balance of when to use, or how to use, or could I still understand why this result is correct, is still there, but the how much of it is too much. And as you can see here, you need to still have an understanding of the concepts in order for you to appreciate, and in fact tell whether the answer that's given to you is correct or not. And in order for you to do that, you really have to understand the science behind it. Finally, I'd say that I think there's no right answer as how much. I think it's a balance that we all need to figure out and reach together collectively. We'll have to use the tool. It'll be misused probably in many cases. In other cases, it'll be used properly. And until we find that balance, I think it's going to take up quite a bit of time, a lot of trials, a lot of failures. One quote that I believe, especially in the tech field, it's increasingly expected that generative AI is going to be a tool that engineers or people working in the tech field would end up leveraging to make them more productive. And I think the same goes for teachers like myself, and people in the education field. And this will bridge me to a tool that has been that's being developed currently to utilize some of the AI tools available, to basically help teachers and students. The idea is basically to have a tool to allow the educator to see what kind of prompts their students are using, to basically ask the AI, and so they can have a peek at what their students are asking and also understand the answers that the students are getting, so that they could give have a better view of what the questions being asked are, and also what are maybe the weaknesses or strengths that their students have. With that, I thank you very much for listening, and I'll move on to the next speaker.